Okay, we are live. Hi, this is William Ramsey. Welcome to William Ramsey Investigates. On today's show, I have a very special guest, returning guest. I've been on his show. I was on his show at the end of last month. We talked about the Epstein files, and I'm inviting him on this show. We're going to talk about transhumanism. His name is Chris Taylor. If you're watching this on my 3 YouTube channels, X, Rumble, Rockfin, you'll see his outstanding YouTube channel with a lot of different research on a lot of different stuff. I'll put a link to it. It's Don't Let Them Burn. And he has 468 videos at this point on a wide variety of different subjects, a lot of topics I'm interested in. He's also an excellent graphic designer. He also provides services under his name. I think it's Seraphim Chris. So check that out. But he's been on a couple projects. He can talk about that, some public projects, if he wants to share that. In the past, we've done shows on a wide variety of different subjects, covering things that are kind of pertinent today. We've done Hollywood Matrix. We did, just like I mentioned, the Epstein files. It was on his amazing machinations. I think he has subsets within the different topics within his YouTube. Things we talked about, present day occultism. We've done a group show about Nephilim Shadow over Scripture with Ken and me and Chris, with Zach McCaha. That was back in, I think, close to COVID starting or pre-COVID. We also covered Marina Abramovich, which is in the Epstein files and goes through Pizzagate to the present. We also did a pretty dark subject about Yao of God, which also ties in with all these people, Abramovich and Oprah, and people who don't seem to go away. They keep popping up in other things. Kanye West, modern music. We did the Great Reset. Balenciaga, but I called it Balenciaga, which ties into these ballists, which ties into Epstein, Baal. And you see that kind of like occulted high fashion, which, is part of this kind of dark culture of modern society, really modern global society, of which Epstein was part of. But we also covered The Hidden Dangers of the Rainbow by Constance Cumby, COVID deception, like I mentioned. So covered some great topics, so you can check those out either on his YouTube channel. Hopefully they're still up over there, or they're definitely on my podcast, which is William Ramsey Investigates. You can just put that through like a search engine for Chris Taylor or Don't Let Them Burn and check those out. But again, we're going to talk. He's got a lot of research. I've set aside 2 hours. Hopefully we can get through some of the material or a lot of the material, but we're going to cover transhumanism, and I listened to a lecture from Ken and me, and done shows on these things in the past, and the subject keeps popping up. But hopefully I can follow along with his presentation. So Chris Taylor, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me. Hi, guys. This is going to be a nice congeal of different topics, whether it's zombies or magic or artificial intelligence. You're going to see that with this presentation, all of it fits together, especially when we're coming up on this age of AI and technocracy. You're going to wonder why everything seems to be so ominous and dark sometimes, and you can't really pull it together. People are talking about AI gods and all this crazy stuff. Well, what we're going to present tonight is going to hopefully get you aligned in a certain way. And it's going to be a lot to do with your entertainment. Okay. So often people either leave out the spiritual side or they leave out the entertainment side, and both go together because our culture, especially in America, is ruled by entertainment. And I know a lot of you haven't probably seen a lot of the movies or TV shows or read a lot of the comic books, but a lot of Crowleyan followers, Satanists, and other people are involved in creating your entertainment. So you might want to pay attention. Now, this is not to demonize entertainment or to say, don't watch this, don't read that, don't listen to this, but you want to be cautious in certain areas. So let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, there's a lot there. They're really almost like they're programming us. They're seeding ideas in our things. They're predictive programming and also planting kind of like ideological ideas in our minds. So
Absolutely.
it's
Absolutely.
important to be aware of that.
So, what the overarching topic within these two presentations is eternal life. And how do we get eternal life? If you're a believer, you know it's Jesus Christ. If you're not, you might have heard other ways, but there's only one way, and that's through Jesus Christ. And so, doesn't matter if you're into scientism, into Buddhism, whatever. There's always a different form that you're going to hear about, and a lot of these technocrats and people that create entertainment are into some interesting dark stuff. Okay, so the lie of Satan is that you shall become a god, right? So in Genesis 3:5, it says, "For God doth know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil." Right? So that's the lie from Satan. And humanity has been on this long road for a very, very, very long time. And we hear a lot about eternal life through our TV shows and our sci-fi and even horror movies. So we're living in a fallen world, and fallen world is a cursed world. And if we understand that everything around us, most of it is unnatural. Death is unnatural, disease is unnatural, um, the spilling of blood from animals or human is unnatural. Everything was made to be forever. But then when the fall of man came, that all changed, right? So Jesus came, he sacrificed himself on the cross, spilled his blood for us to get us to have eternal life, right? And so going into that subject, I'm going to lay out a couple Bible verses for us to see so that we can have a better understanding. So Galatians 6:8 says, "Whoever sows to please their flesh, from flesh will reap destruction. Whoever sows to please the Spirit, from the Spirit will reap eternal life," right? John 3:16-17 says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, whosoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved." And John 10:28-30, "And I give them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall anyone snatch them out of my hand. My Father who gives them to me is greater than all, and no one is able to snatch them out of my Father's hand. And I and the Father are one." That's Jesus declaring his deity within the Trinity. Now, Romans 6:22-23 says, "But now having spirits set free from sin, being set free from sin and having become slave of God, you have your fruit to holiness and the end everlasting life." So we see it's a repeating pattern in the Bible. John 14:6 says, Jesus said to him, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." John 3:36 says, "He who believes in the Son has everlasting life, and he who does not believe in the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of God abides on him." Right? 1 John 2:17 says, "And the world is passing away, and the lust of it, but he who does the will of God abides forever." Matthew 7:13 through, sorry, here couldn't see on my end. 14, "Enter by the narrow gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leads to destruction, and there are many who go in by it, because narrow is the gate, and difficult is the way which leads to life, and there are few who find it." So you want to be on the narrow road, right? John 4:13-14 says, "Jesus answered and said to her, Whoever drinks of this water will not thirst again, but whoever drinks of this water I shall give him will never thirst. But the water that I shall give him will become in him a fountain of water springing up into" what? Everlasting life. "Do not labor for the food which perishes, but for food which endures to everlasting life, which the Son of Man will give you, because God the Father has set his seal on him." John 11:25-26, Jesus said, "I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, though he may die, he shall live, and whoever lives and believes in me shall never die." Do you believe this? And we go into John 10:17, 10, and I'll just read down the bottom here. I have come that they may have life and they may have it more abundantly. So the resurrection of Jesus Christ um, is what Christianity is based on, and everyone else out there that doesn't believe this will not have eternal life. So we see mankind headed to this junction where they want to live forever but without God, right? And so one of the crux of this issue is creation versus evolution. Evolution was brought up in the 18th century, and ever since then, now a lot of the issues dealing with eternal life was before that, clearly, right? And but with evolution, it's replete throughout everything now. You can't go into education, entertainment, corporate system, you name it, without hearing about the evolution of this, the evolution of that. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on evolution, but then modern atheism is also an issue, which also springs out of the theory of evolution. Not that they weren't atheists before evolution, but the modern atheism is a part of this. And so here this quote says, the belief that there was nothing and nothing happened to nothing and nothing magically exploded for no reason, creating everything, and then a bunch of everything magically rearranged itself for no reason whatsoever into self-replicating bits, which then turn into dinosaurs. That's part of the thinking of evolution. And of course, this says makes perfect sense, being ironic, and so or sarcastic even. So when it comes to a lot of our modern dictators, they all believed in evolution, right? And that's why they were able to destroy so many lives, right? Over 400 million killed from Pol Pot to Mao Zedong to Lenin, and we can go on and on with their names. And also, you want to check out these two books, The Devil and Karl Marx and Satanism, written by two different authors. And you will see that Marxism is Satanism. And you can see that quote on my X page, right? So then we have what we mentioned a minute ago with predictive programming. People are being seeded ideas into their hearts and minds regarding evolution and where mankind should go. We should travel the stars and all these other things. And when, especially with technology and technocracy, you'll see a lot of people acquiesce in this because the seed was planted earlier. And so they think all the technology and all the transhumanism and all the technocracy is supposed to be natural when it's not. So then you have the evolution of technology and going on, and we're going to get through this. So in 2 Corinthians 4:4, it says, the God of this age, which is Satan, has blinded the minds of unbelievers so that they cannot see the light of the gospel that displays the glory of Christ, who is the image of God, right? And so now we're going to go into some of the artificial intelligence and the demonic connections. Now, remember, some of this is coming from history, so we're going to go back a little bit and we're going to talk about occult and magic. And Leviticus 19:26 says, you shall not eat anything with the blood, nor shall you practice divination or soothsaying. And you're going to see some of the issues dealing with magic, witchcraft, artificial intelligence actually comes from divination and soothsaying. Deuteronomy 18:10 says, there shall not be found among you anyone who makes his son or daughter pass through the fire, which is Baal worship, or one who practices witchcraft or soothsayer, or one who interprets omens, or a sorcerer. Right. So in Jewish mysticism, we have what's called the golem. Some people pronounce it as golem, right? And it's basically bringing up a spirit into a clay figure and having it do your bidding. So here we have a couple iterations of the golem. This is Jewish mysticism. And you see different movies that depict this. Everyone knows Lord of the Rings, and so here's a couple different iterations. It's in the Lego movie, and different. It's in the Simpsons. It's in different books. So this is not something new. It's very old, but it's presented today. as fantasy. So then you have this Diablo 4, how to summon a golem in Diablo 4. It says necromancers are given a special class specific ability at the beginning of the game called Raising Skeleton. This is part of the special class system that revolves around the Book of the Dead. Once you reach level 25 on necromancers, you can gain a new summoning spell called Golem. So this article will focus on how to summon golems in Diablo 4 and the quest required to learn the ability, right? Then we have this woman here, Marina Abramovic, who did the spirit cooking spells, and she even wrote a book about it. And so she had a golem at one of her spirit cooking parties. And here goes one of the witchcraft books with Hillary Clinton and all sorts of crazy stuff in it, right?
Just to interrupt, sir,
Mhm.
she's there with Jay-Z, you see that, but there is something in the Epstein files where this guy Brockman, who was an edge guy, who seemed to be an influence agent, was inviting every tech elite. Like the email address is the TechNate. It's the tech AI guys. And this is before Pizzagate, probably in 2015, 2016, right before the Podesta emails came out. He's inviting everybody in Northern California to come and visit her, and she's so important and all that stuff.
Right.
And like, not everybody went, but a lot of people seem to have gone in kind of Palo Alto, kind of the epicenter of the technate or technocrats or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But it is interesting. It really was an insight for me. And she's still around. And she
Mhm.
ties in, like I said at the beginning, to of God, baby trafficking and all really dark stuff. Sorry.
Yeah, and also I forgot to mention two things. In the 1700s, 1800s, with evolution and postmodernism, I said before, we got atheism, we got communism, but also there was a high rise in spiritism, and a lot of this flooded into the entertainment and the technological field even back then, right? And so, with artificial intelligence and the demonic connection, you guys have heard of zombies and other concepts that correlate with the bringing the back of the dead, like even in Frankenstein and stuff like that, right? Or bringing the dead back to life or summoning the dead. There's even a concept going far back into antiquity regarding robots that seem to be like living creatures, and we get to that in a second. And so, as we keep moving here with Abramovic, this is some of the photos here. To the right over there, that little statue in the corner there with real blood on it, that's a golem. So she's trying to raise some spirit.
In
And
the video, she's pouring blood over that pig's
yeah,
blood and whatever else is in there over that thing.
right. And at the side here, you see something about cooking, spirit cooking, and soaking all sorts of nasty stuff together, right? So, voodoos and zombies. This is where it gets weird, guys. Okay. So, because usually we don't see the correlation. And so, African voodoo or voodoo, a religion out of West Africa, practiced chiefly in Haiti or Caribbean countries based on animism, magic, and elements of Roman Catholic ritual, and characterized by the belief as supernatural God and a large pantheon of local and tutelary deities. The ancestors and saints. So we have ancestor worship and worship of the saints, and these are just demons, okay? Who communicate with believers in dream trances, ritual possessions. So this is just a little breakdown of that. The practitioner, the priest, or even the shaman. We could call it voodoo, but it's all witchcraft, okay? And so, and we have the zombie. The zombie comes out of well, Haiti is not the only place that was mentioned. Zombie is just a new term that we use. There's also the revenant and other words from British Isles and other places, right? So zombie is a mythological undead corporeal revenant created through the reanimation of a corpse. In modern popular culture, zombies are most commonly found in horror genres. The term comes from Haitian folklore, in which a zombie is a dead body animated through various methods, most commonly magical practices in religions like voodoo. Modern media depictions of the reanimation of the dead often do not involve magic, but rather science fictional methods such as fungi, radiation, gases, diseases, plants, bacteria, and viruses, and etc. Right. So, as we jump into mythology really quick, we have the automaton. Uh, this is where we get the term automation and stuff. So, a self operating machine or mechanism, especially a robot, one that behaves or responds in a mechanical way, anything or being regarded as having the power or spontaneous motion or action, right? And so, this is back in Greek mythology. We have Talos, the first robot. Um, and so we have the depictions there, giant robot. So how does it function? Well, we'll get to some of that, and we have the other automatons there. This is from Egyptian mythology, dealing with Horus and other deities, and they made mechanical figures out of some of them. Then we have what's called the apotheosis, the exaltation to the divine rank or stature um, in deification. It could be a robot, it could be a man. Like here, we have George Washington, the apotheosis of George Washington as a U.S. president. Up on the top of the dome, there we have him with other deities and other people.
Yeah, that's the Capitol building. That's the and so the big cupola dome literally has a representation of him, making kind of like a upward, above, and so below kind of hand gesture too,
Yeah.
which is a little bit concerning to say the least.
Right. And here goes the apotheosis of Homer the poet, right? The deification of a man, right? And as we go, it's going to get a little weird, but just stick with me. So it's the idea that man can become God. Again, back to the live state, right? This is the apotheosis of Socrates, the philosopher, right? And these people are just of high regard and talked about through history. Now, as we get to, give me 1 second here. So,
sorry to interrupt, Chris, but that above so below is also depicted in the Baphomet. Somebody in the Lisa Buttons mentioned that in a comment.
Absolutely.
So
yes.
That's what you can see, that goat-headed god. That's also transgender, is making that hand sign.
Yeah, let me go back a little bit here. Right here. Okay, so in ancient Egypt legends, statues of divinities, mostly made of stone, metal, or wood, were animated and played a key role in religious ceremonies. They were believed to have a soul derived from the divinity that they represented. In the New Kingdom of Egypt from the 16th century BC until the 11th century BC, ancient Egyptians would frequently consult these statues for advice. The statues would reply with a movement of the head. According to the Egyptian lore, Pharaoh Hatshepsut dispatched her squadron to the land of incense after consulting with the statue of Amun. There are many examples of automata in Greek mythology. Hephaestus created automata for his workshop. Talos was an artificial man of bronze. King Achinois, I don't know how to pronounce that, of the Phoenicians, for Phaeacians, employed gold and silver watchdogs. According to Aristotle, Daedalus used quicksilver to make his wooden statue of Aphrodite move. Sorry I left this out, guys. In other Greek legends, he used quicksilver to install voice in his moving statues. It's very important here. The automata in the Hellenistic or Greek world were intended as tools, toys, religious spectacles, or prototypes for demonstrating basic scientific principles. Numerous water powered automata were built by Ctesibios, a Greek inventor and the first head of the Great Library of Alexandria. For example, he used water to sound a whistle and make a model owl move. He had invented the world's first cuckoo clock. This tradition continued in Alexandria, which inventors such as Greek mathematician hero and of Alexandria, sometimes known as Heron, whose writings of pneumatics, and mechanics describes siphons, a fire engine, a water organ, the pile, and a programmable cart. And pretty much he had a lot of famous inventions. All right. So there, I totally left that out. Right. And then the Antikythera mechanism from 150 to 100 BC was designed to calculate the positions of auto- astronomical objects. Complex mechanical devices are known to have existed in Hellenistic Greek, though the only surviving example is the Antikythera mechanism, the earliest known analog computer. The clockwork is thought to have come originally from Rhodes, where there was apparently a traditional and mechanical engineering. The island was renowned for its automata, to quote Pindar's Seventh Olympic Ode.
Right. The Antikythera mechanism was literally found underwater in almost perfect condition. That's probably how they found it. But yeah, it's really it's like something from like a sci-fi movie, actually.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if you have a picture of it.
No, I don't. I
See if
don't.
I can bring it up. If I can spell it right. Yeah.
Okay. So in some places, the animated figures stand adorning every public street and seem to breathe in stone or move their marble feet. However, the information gleaned from recent scans of the fragments indicate that it may have come from the colonies of Corinth or Sicily and implies a connection with Archimedes. All right. So then we go to the apotheosis. All right. So we covered that. Now, as we get into entertainment here.
Are you trying to bring up another? Okay, there we go. Yeah.
All right. So as we get into entertainment now, this is where it starts to get a little even weirder. Okay. So I hope that I did a good job with trying to get you to see the blob, the congealment of all these issues within culture.
Right. So we've got the automaton, the zombie, the what else? These other kind of golem. So you've got all these kind of semi-humanistic forms, right? That
Yeah.
aren't totally human. Is
Right.
that fair?
Yes. And Paul in the Bible says that these things that you worship, they're demons, right? He called it out, right? Because people want to pray to the dead and talk to statues and all these things, because they believe that their deities are gods, right? Or their so-called deities, these false gods, are with them, and they're just demons, okay? Or in some cases, fallen angels. So as we move, see here, come on. So Night of the Living Dead was made by George Romero, and he got these concepts from voodoo, okay? Haiti. And he borrowed all these cultural stories about the dead seemingly being brought to life through rituals involving voodoo and drugs, right? Since the creation of Night of the Living Dead, the zombie theme has been explored many times in book, video games, movies, and television shows. Um, and we have now, so Serpent and the Rainbow was the one where they blew drugs in this guy's face and they buried him, and he's like, "Don't bury me, I'm not dead." And it was a whole interesting showcase when I was a kid of the voodoo in Haiti. So we have Night of the Living Dead. We have the Dawn of the Dead remake by the guy that created Man of Steel, Zack Snyder. Right?
And I think The Serpent and the Rainbow was a book. It was kind of like a famous book before it became a movie, if
Yes.
my memory serves me correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, absolutely. So the Walking Dead TV series at the time I wrote this was in its ninth season, and it plays on the tropes of survival, science gone wrong, and the dead people walking the earth, reanimated by some virus that is in all humans, so that upon death they will turn into the living dead and eat the flesh of humans and animals alike. So we have a through line of cannibalism as well, right? And a lot of people believe in the zombie apocalypse, and even the CIA. I don't have the video, but you can look it up online. They did real drills for a zombie apocalypse, right? And anyone could find it. It's not hidden. It's even on their website. So, but it's all over YouTube. So then we have Child's Play. We have Megan, and we have the doll from The Conjuring, Annabelle. These are all, some of them are based on voodoo, but it's all the same motif, right? Child's Play, the guy uses voodoo magic to transfer his consciousness into a doll. Megan comes alive as a robot. Annabelle has a spirit in her. Okay, so we see the same theme. It's just told to us in different ways. Of course, Walking Dead again. And there's a Netflix series called Travelers. Now, Travelers shows it has souls or consciousness traveling from the future that take possession of people's bodies in the present at their time of death. So right as soon as you die, these consciousness enters the dead body, and the person remains alive. So it seems. This is all on the impetus of an artificial intelligence known as the director. These that's in the future. These souls trust and take orders from the AI like it's supposed to be a benevolent god, while the supposed evil faction of travelers try with desperate measure to stop the director from ever coming to existence. It's like Terminator all over again, but with people coming from the future instead of robots, right? And so in the show, you don't really know if the good guys are really the good guys. You just have the narrative. But they fight against each other. But it's all about, remember, the theme is transferal of consciousness, whether it's through time or through the dead or whatever else, right? So that's the theme here. And so then we have The Day the Earth Stood Still, which is the guy there, I can't remember his name, the human, is I think his name is Klaatu, is a allegory for Jesus. But that's not the important part. So he has the menacing robot that and he came to Earth to warn about our present course, which is the same narrative of the UFO, where we have to stop our nuclear development and other things, right? But the robot, the automaton, is alive. Okay, what is similar to that? Lost in Space, right? Will Robinson, danger, danger, Will Robinson. A seemingly intelligent robot helps a family on their dangerous adventures through the galaxy. And we have other iterations from Netflix now. Well, this one, I believe, is this movie came out in the 90s. It was interesting. And then Netflix made their remake with that's the newer version of the robot there on the right. And as you've seen in the theme in a lot of sci-fi movies, these robots want to be human, and we're going to get to some of that soon. So in the 80s, I grew up on Transformers. I'm a 70s kid, and Transformers was big. The original version comes from Japan, but American company bought it and they made Transformers. And in Transformers the movies, Optimus Prime dies and he resurrects, so he's an allegory to Jesus. But the whole thing is that these robots are not just robots; they're living beings, right? They're living artificial intelligence, whatever you want to call them, and so it gets a little interesting more in the remake by Michael Bay in the mid 2000s, which uses a lot of Gnosticism, but we're not going to go there right now. So the cartoon comics and movies, the sentient beings named the Autobots and the Decepticons are living robot beings, right? And they resemble artificial intelligence when you dig into the rich story and lore, when the energy or force from the Allspark, which comes out of the Kabbalah, the spark of divinity, is distributed. It brings inanimate objects to life. That's another allusion to the spark of divinity, like I just said, found in the Kabbalah. Then we have Star Wars, where there's the series of films has sophisticated droids such throughout, some of these droids can't just be simple level 1 or level 2 AI, because they can manage information that is vast, including C3PO, who's the interpreter of 6 million languages, right? And they care for each other. And so it's the same thing about them trying to be human. But I understand it's fiction, but there's a through line here, everything we are speaking of. And George Lucas actually studied a lot of the ancient mysticism of the East to come up with this story. So then we have Humans. This was a TV series on AMC. It's a television show based in a world where lifelike androids and artificial intelligence are being assimilated and domesticated into human life. Some characters in the show go as far as to have relations or sexual relations with the non-human subjects. There's also an uprising among the androids that turn violent, and we've seen similar stories before, right? It's an interesting series, kind of like telling you what's coming. And the sex robots and sex bots have been in development for many years now. So this is one of my favorite old TV shows, Buck Rogers in the 25th century. A mix of Star Wars and Captain America. It's a great show. The android was named Twiki, and there was also a couple different other robots. Buck Rogers, played by Gil Gerard, who is in charge of the spacecraft Ranger 3 when it is launched in May of 1987. However, due to life support malfunctions, the main character is unfortunately frozen for 504 years before he finds himself in the year 2491. Whoops, Buck learns that society back on Earth was rebuilt following a nuclear war, and it is now under the protection of the Earth Defense Directorate. And so if you go back and watch the pilots for the show, you'll see some interesting things dealing with the head of the directorate are all AI. They're all AI. So then we have Automatic Man. I don't know how many of you have heard of this, but I used to watch this a lot. So Automan, if you go back and look at the trailer, you'll see Automan or Automatic Man is an artificial intelligence that manifests itself in a humanoid form that can touch and interact with everything in reality. It also believes that he is as real as anyone else, just different and perfect in every way. So we see this through line. I don't know if you want to say anything before I go on.
No, I've never heard of Automan. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, he could transform into a car, a helicopter, and he had a human sidekick that would, not necessarily sidekick, but a guy with that he would help on some of these missions. But yes, in the show, they say that he is different but perfect in every way. So this is one of the through lines of transhumanism, because or robots and AI will be better than us in every way, right? So then, of course, one of my favorite shows, Knight Rider. Michael Knight drives a car equipped with artificial intelligence that helps him solve crimes and go on different adventures. The detective and the car form a symbiotic relationship that includes empathy for the intelligence called Kit. Um, Kit also eventually thinks of himself as human as he grows in his relationship with Michael. Right? Common theme. Tron Legacy. Tron Legacy is where we see a race of computer sprites. Sprites are demons, guys, if you didn't know that. Or beings that are artificial intelligence that supposedly come out of nowhere and inhabit the game known as Tron. We also see a human consciousness get digitized into a video game program from the original, but this is another digitation. By the end of the movie, the human consciousness rescues one of the sprites or artificial intelligence and brings her into the natural world to where she seems to have flesh and bones. Artificial intelligence is once again adapted to an environment with almost infinite possibilities, right? So then we have the Tom Cruise movie, Oblivion. Not remember that Tom Cruise. I don't know how much he was involved in this film, but he thinks he's a god. He's a Scientologist. So, Oblivion, starring Tom Cruise, has an AI female god, which is represented by the upside down triangle, representing the female deity. And at the end of the movie, now Tom Cruise is I believe he's a clone. Sorry. And at the end of the movie, the AI in space, which him and the other guy there went up there to this. They went up to the heavens to destroy God. Okay, so it's an allegory, right? And he said that the AI says, "I am your God." Right?
Wow, that's amazing. Morgan Freeman, yeah.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman there. So
I'll have to rewatch this one.
yeah, watch it with different eyes, right?
I wonder what day it came out. If it came out on 4/18, that's a huge occult number in Crowley's system. It says
Yeah,
April. I don't know the date on there, but it would make perfect sense because 4/18 in Crowley is the Kabbalistic number of total illumination of the earth. So the goal of like the golden aeon or whatever really is exemplified. And you'll see Johnny Depp, like some of his movies came out at 4/18. Like it's
yeah,
not a mistake. It's the one where he becomes AI God. I don't know if
yes,
it's in your presentation, but that movie literally came out on April 18th. And if you see the layman of Crowley, you know, it's inscrutable. There's all kinds of reference. There's 93s, which a lot of people know now, but you'll
yeah.
see that 4/18 as well. I don't know if you Transcendence, I think is the film.
Transcendence. Yes,
Yeah.
it's in here somewhere. I know.
Okay, cool. When it brings it up, I'll bring up Crowley's layman. I'll teach people that. Yeah.
And guys, the one eye thing is the eye of providence. It's the eye of Horus. It's they don't say it in the movie, but that's the symbolism. Okay.
Right, it's the eye in the triangle, right?
Yeah.
Eye of horse. It's different than the illuminated eye. People get them confused, but
Yeah.
they're distinctly different. The old Christian churches, sometimes they'll see this eye in a triangle, which, you know, is questionable, but Crowley's is the eye of Horus in a triangle. It's very different.
Yeah. Let's see what we got here. So this movie, the next movie is not known that well, but I found it interesting when I watched it a few years back. It's called Tao, and you see the same symbolism there. And Tao is a movie on Netflix, follows the same motif of a few previous movies about artificial intelligence, but this time a female is kidnapped against her will and threatened to help teach the AI Tao of or face being disintegrated, killed, disregarded like everyone else before her. The symbolism in Tao is just like the movie Oblivion, a single eye with and an upside down triangle that represents a female deity. But this time, instead, the AI has a male voice. Now you see there on the poster for Tao, the triangle is right side up. That's the male deity. And she's trapped within that. Okay. So just pay attention to some of the symbolisms. And the next one, we all know, well, a lot of us know, Battlestar Galactica, which is based on Mormonism and Buddhism and a few other things. Oh, Freemasonry. So the original series from the 1970s was based on Mormonism, Freemason, Buddhism, among other borrowed beliefs, including Egyptian pantheon. In the new series, some of the Cylons have flesh and blood. They also praise the one true God, quote unquote, and look for deification. The Cylon robot armies started out with a scientist daughter consciousness that gets grafted into a robot to preserve her life. This is seen in the prequel called Capricorn. I'll get you to Capricorn in a second. So this is the older. These are the older Cylons. They were pretty cool in chrome, all chrome. But this is the newer iteration of Battlestar Galactica. Came out in the mid 2000s. This is the robot that projects herself into a guy's mind and has him doing some interesting things. Even has sex with him within his mind. This is the young lady from Caprica. She said the future of it says the future of humanity begins with a choice. Of course, she's biting from an apple, which Eve didn't bite an apple, but since we all think so, she's taken Satan's offer. Okay, and they project her mind because she had an accident happen to her at some rave or something like that, and so they projected her mind into the robot, right? And so this is a article from Science Daily. Scientists craft living human skin for robots. This is from June 9th, 2022. This is why I'm trying to show you that your entertainment is going to lead you into the real world eventually, right? And so they've created synthetic flesh, synthetic blood, and the rest for robots. And I don't have the creepy image to show you tonight, but I doubt any of you want to see it anyway. So that article is from June 9th, 2022. Okay. And so next we have Terminator, which most of you are familiar with. Terminator series, we see a robot from the future with synthetic human flesh and blood that has one goal: to kill Sarah Connor. This robot was sent by an AI called Skynet, the same AI that thought it was a good idea to obliterate the human race with impunity. In the series, we also see a robot that is made out of liquid metal, technology that is in early phases in the real world as we speak. Right? I don't have the article here for you, but if you look it up, you will see that this technology is here. All right. So one of the things I can tell you is a lot of these people that make these movies, even though some of them steal from other people, they research the upcoming technologies and put it in their films and project it on you. And this is also part of predictive programming, because now that you hear about liquid metal being, nanotechnology coming to life and whatever, forming a robot, and he could do whatever, that was told to you back in the, the 80s and the 90s, right? And so this one is Short Circuit. I used to love this movie as a kid. And this poster shows you that deity is electrifying him. And it says here, something wonderful has happened. Number 5 is what? Alive, right? And it's a movie about a robot that gets, again, electrocuted, then becomes more intelligent as he goes on. It's a fun movie, but again, it's a theme of robots becoming alive, right? So that's Short Circuit. Then years later, we get Chappie, right? Chappie is in this movie, a tech company is developing robots for law enforcement. The robot called Chappie is taught by humans after being stolen to live and act like them in a rebellious fashion. We would call this today machine learning, right? By the end of the movie, the character of Chappie is hurt. The creator of Chappie is hurt, and he ends up Chappie ends up putting some sort of electrode or something towards the created brain before he dies, and transfers his soul or consciousness into a robot. That's another theme that's always going on, right? And so similar to that is this is more on the horror theme. Is Christine. Christine, a movie by John Carpenter, is a cult classic about a car that is possessed by some sort of spirit of vengeance. I haven't watched the movie recently, so I can't remember how everything. I just know it was a terrifying movie, and it would murder people, and it gets jealous over people that are attracted to the owner. All right. Anything you want to say before I go on?
No, please continue.
All right. Then we have in the comic book era, Brainiac and Ultron. So in the movies, Brainiac is an artificial intelligence that has an affinity for collecting cities and assimilating their knowledge into his collective. This can also be seen in Star Trek with the Borg, right? Now the Borg is more humanoid, but they assimilate everyone and all of their intelligence into their one collective, what you could also call a hive mind. Then Ultron, on the other hand, thinks that he is a god, and that the only way to bring balance to life on Earth is to wipe out the parasite of mankind. This thought actually comes from evolution and crazy people into scientism because they want to depopulate the earth. And they say, a person I used to work with actually said to me that humans are a parasite. I'm like, are you looking in the mirror? You're a human. So you're considering yourself a parasite? Are you an idiot? So these thoughts come out of the United Nations, out of evolution, out of people that are just convinced that humanity is not worth anything. Okay, so that's Ultron, and he's made out of 5 different personalities. I won't go into that right now. And then we have the Vision. This from the Marvel Universe, has a relationship with a witch. She's called a Scarlet Witch. And nobody in the theater ever shrieked when we realized they're having sex. But anyway, they're actually married in the comics. The Vision is also looked at as some sort of god. This is also depicted in the movies. Vision and Scarlet Witch even give birth to children. Humans and machines commingling to create something different, which is post-human. And you're going to see more of this coming up soon. Okay, so this is more them together, and this is WandaVision, where we see Vision is already dead, but through chaos magic, Scarlet Witch creates a reality where she has kids and all this stuff. So you'd have to go watch the program. I'm not gonna.
You got the red hair, making some hand gestures.
But William, isn't there something out of Aleister Crowley's female crowd similar to the red?
Oh, 100% Scarlet Woman. Yeah, he had like 10 Scarlet Woman. I was just posting that the other day on my Patreon about all of his Scarlet Woman because people are interested. And he branded them with the seal of Babylon on their chest, like a cow.
Yeah. So then we have the movie by Steven Spielberg, who is obsessed with aliens. This is AI, artificial intelligence, a movie about a robot boy that believes with his robot heart that he is truly human. By the end of the movie, he is stranded by accident underwater. Hundreds of years later, he is discovered by an alien race after the last remnants of humankind has vanished from the face of the earth. And they take care of him and all this stuff at the end of the movie. It's just ridiculous, but it's deifying, or not necessarily deifying in this sense, but it's dehumanizing humanity and making you care for the robot that looks human. Right?
Interesting. Yeah.
All right. So then we have Marvel's Agents of Shield, which was okay for 3 seasons, but this season we have the one called Ada, a life model decoy or robot with advanced artificial intelligence that obviously looks human, right? Builds a virtual world through alien technology that's ran by a Nazi totalitarian government. She is capable of self replication and opens portals to hell. She also transforms her false consciousness into a clone body with real flesh and blood. She desires to be totally human with emotions.
Hmm.
So there it goes again, right? Um, let's see. That's Ada, life model decoy. And those people in the background there, Agent Coulson and the other, they're actually in her virtual world in these. They didn't desire to be there. She trapped them there. Let's see now. Everybody's favorite, the Matrix.
Yeah.
So the Matrix is a fully computerized virtual reality where artificial intelligent beings are the overlords, while in the real world, the artificial intelligence hunts down anyone that is a resistor of their AI kingdom. Humans are also used as batteries for the robots because humanity revolted and blocked out the sun. This is not in the movie. This is in a series of short films. So the humanity revolted against the robots and the artificial intelligence. They blocked out the suns to stop their power source, their main source of energy. So the robots improvised and used us as batteries. And some crazy people out there think that this is a good idea. By the way, okay. Bill Gates, look up the articles. He wants to block out the sun.
That's right. That's right.
Right? Okay. And it's not to stop artificial intelligence, it's to stop your carbon emissions because humans are the carbon they want to get rid of.
Close friends with Jeff. Close
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah. So
They have something in the thing. I was like, let's regroup and talk about what we can do to get rid of the poor, you know?
yeah.
Like a classic elite kind of view, like all
Crazy.
of us are slaves. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the takeaways from the Matrix, you don't have to necessarily hone in on that per se, but whoever is in control of this Internet 3 or whatever, they are building a real Matrix. I'm not saying they're going to get away with it. I'm not trying to scare you, but they are trying to build a real Matrix. And you will have they're already building AI doppelgangers for every single one of us to live in this world. And the Mormons are also on board with a thing called emulets. They emulate humanity and their artificial super intelligence. So you might everything I'm saying you could write down, you could check out for yourself. Don't trust what I say, but I know I'm telling you the truth. So then the next movie here, and I wish I could show you footage of some of these movies, but I can't because of YouTube. So these are the pods that were in the Matrix, and they were in this fluid where they would just feed on our energy forever or until we die. And these are the sacks of the babies coming out there, and they put them into whatever they put them in. These are the robots that would, and these are more like enforcers. They will hunt you down, slaughter you, and slaughter bots. There we go. And so now the movie Replicas, starring Keanu Reeves, is in this movie. The twist is the human mind gets copied over to the brain of a clone that was grown in 17 days. After a tragic accident, this is the only way to bring back his wife and daughter. So in a lot of these movies, it's always playing on your empathy. It's a dead loved one, whether it's a husband or a wife or the kids or whatever, right? And so that's what happened in this movie. Trailer's pretty interesting. This is after he uploaded, or this might have been before. I think this was they tried some experiment and the robot went crazy. Because the person is not supposed to be in a robot. But I don't believe that they will really be able to transfer consciousness. It's just zeros and ones. a copy of your memory or something like that. So then now we have what's called a oldie but goodie, Lawnmower Man, right? In this movie, about a man that's mentally challenged. Throughout the movie, he becomes more intelligent and dangerous to others. Finally, he embodies his consciousness into a computer to become some kind of godlike being. Right? So he gets smarter and smarter and smarter until he wants to become a god. Now, before he was the lawnmower man, he's just a regular guy with mental issues. And so then we have the one you were speaking of earlier, Transcendence.
Transcendence, right.
All right. This movie starring Johnny Depp hinges on some of the same notes as The Lawnmower Man, except Johnny Depp's character is far more intelligent. By the end of the movie, the character digitizes his consciousness into a computer network and then gets out into the real world, the World Wide Web, again becoming some sort of godlike being. Because once he enters the web, he can control everything. He could get into governments and whatever else.
Yeah, it becomes like a sentient AI overlord. His name is Will Caster too, which is like, a spell like you cast your will.
Mm-hmm.
And you can barely see it there, but it came out on April 18th. So that's 4/18. And just to show people this is a good example, but this is Crowley's book. He wrote this with JFC Fuller, and you'll see this kind of layman Alpha Omega, VVVVV. It's also emulated in the movie. What's the one with the guy who wears the mask? V for Vendetta. He references that, but you'll see 666 and 418. And 418 is the ultimate goal of the illumination of the entire world. That's the Kabbalistic number. So that's why that's reflected in 418 Transcendence.
Yeah. Creepy stuff. But it's what the world is doing. Remember, we're living in a fallen world. Satan is the temporary god of this world. He's not really a god, but he took the throne from Adam, and so Jesus Christ is coming back to rectify all of this nonsense. But just got to show you what's really going on in a lot of your entertainment.
One of the interesting things too, Crowley and Hitler, there's a tie between this book and Hitler, actually, because JFC Fuller was one of two Englishmen who were invited to Hitler's birthday. I think it was 1938. And literally sat in the stands while they celebrated Hitler's 50th birthday. And Hitler had very similar ideology to Crowley, this kind of idea of a new aeon. Like they were going to have a master where a lot of this Untermenschen, Ubermensch, these are reflected in a lot of the stuff you're talking about.
Yeah.
But like the Overman and then also the 1,000-year reign. It's very similar to a new aeon. It means new aeon. It's not.
Yeah. And the Antichrist is in place of Jesus, so they want their own 1,000-year reign when he comes back, is going to rule for 1,000 years from Israel. So it's just a copy, a replacement of Christ, but with total evil. And
it's incredible that you say that, because the timing of this show is incredible too, because you have an AI Netanyahu talking about the return of the Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just going on a complete rampage of slaughter and murder, like a Baal level slaughter, something that God we mentioned earlier, Baal level slaughter of people. It's just absolutely incredible timing. Like you cannot write it.
And unfortunately, until the people of Israel cry out to Jesus as their Messiah, they will accept the fake one. And you can find that, if you don't know, guys, in the book of Revelation. So
they've done it in the past. You can go look at Bar Kokhba and all the levels of other fake messiahs.
Yeah.
There's been so many, there's been so many messiahs. There's very known historical messiahs, but if you really read Jewish history, there's so many fake messiahs or self-proclaimed messiahs. You can't count them on two hands.
Yeah. Typology. Yeah. Let's see now. Let me see where I'm going to go next, because the next one is going to be pretty interesting. Okay, so this TV show is called Intelligence, and it's a TV show pretty much about a brain implant. Haven't we been hearing about brain implants a lot lately? Okay, Neuralink and others. This is a part of the now I have to explain that technocracy came around the late 1920s, 1930s. Okay, but transhumanism has been around for a long time because man has always wanted to escape the original creation of God and live forever as gods. Okay, but the whole this is a cop show, and if you go and watch the trailer, they say a lot in the trailer. And he has a brain chip, and he can recreate a whole crime scene with this brain chip. So he walks into a house, there's a dead person, whatever it is, and the AI will drag information from the internet and recreate the crime scene so he could solve the case. And so he would also be considered a superhuman. Okay, so that's intelligence. And it was a decent show, but this is the theme. Okay, let's see. So then we go to Minority Report, which is more, in the realm of the occult and with technology. And so Minority Report, starring Tom Cruise, and this was written by H.G. Wells originally, who was atheist. He hated God, and he projected a lot of things in our society that we now follow. So Minority Report, starring Tom Cruise, is where three psychic relatives help to solve crimes before they happen with the use of a network neural link. Sound familiar? There's a connection to artificial intelligence and the occult. And if you do some cursory research right now, look up pre-crime. It's already been.
It's already done Palantir. They've done it in Louisiana. There's no question about it. This
And
is based on a book by Philip K. Dick, too. He
yeah.
also wrote
Mhm.
Blade Runner.
And I've been reading about pre-crime since like 2016. So guys, that's 10 years ago. Okay. So you want to go do your own research, see how pre-crime is developing in the real world. So we have surpassed entertainment already. Okay. And so let me see what I have next here. We have articles here inside the First Church of Artificial Intelligence. Anthony Lewandowski, who is from Google originally, I believe. Yes. And he helped to build Uber and Waymo. So he's talking about an AI church, and I have other disturbing articles that are not even here. But you see that this stuff is becoming into a real play. Attempt to use stem cells to reactivate the brains of the dead. Oh, wait a minute. We just talked about zombies, right? Who's to say when this person, if they awake, is actually the same person and not a demon? Right? I'm just putting some things in your consciousness to get you to thinking. Scarily accurate NVIDIA. This is old news, guys. This is from 2018. Scarily accurate NVIDIA AI algorithm technology now able to synthesize human faces that look 100% real. Where AI is the rave last year and this year, but we were talking about this way back in 2018. Okay. Tokyo's talking subway robots. City launches 6-foot automatons that can speak English, Japanese, Chinese, and Korean to help visitors ahead of 2020 Olympic Games. All right. Let's see. Guardian. Chinese man marries robot he built himself. Talk about depravity. Romans 1. Okay. This clever AI hid data from its creators to cheat at its appointed task. I'm not going to read these articles. You can look this up yourself. Soul searching. Chinese scientists to try to find the human soul with 100 million yen. Start of the art brain scanner. Now, remember, in America, we already have the Brain Initiative. 2045.com, where all these transhumanists hang out, they talk about finding the soul and basically reverse engineering the brain, because that's how they will have full control. I don't know if that's a part of the mark of the beast, but hey, who knows, right? So killer robot terminators, AI soldiers will develop moral compass and defy orders. This one is from 2018 as well. So again, you can look this up. Minority Report comes to life. UK police will use AI to prevent crimes. Okay. So if you were skeptical before of what I'm putting together here, now you have it's here, guys. Artificial intelligence is now used to predict crime, but is it biased? This is again March 5th, 2018.
You
Uh,
can't get rid of bias in anything.
right.
Everybody's biased. It's just the
Yeah.
fact. They've tried to do that in newspapers and things like, we're bias free. We're going to recheck everything. And it's just like complete nonsense. It doesn't work because
Right.
we're biased based on time, intelligence, background, education. It's just so many variables you can't get rid of.
Right. So that's the end of part one, and we can transition into end of part two in a second. And
Yeah, we can just say hi to everybody. We've got 322. Well, that's an interesting number. 323 live viewers and listeners. So check out Chris's stuff. Check on YouTube, his website. Don't let them burn. The earlier talks we've done, the talks he's done with other people. Some I don't know. He doesn't have the same. He has a bunch of other guests of people I'm not familiar with. So go check out that, or you can listen to the 10 shows we've done on William Ramsey Investigates.
absolutely.
On YouTube. I got my YouTube channels back in October. So I've had them for 6 months. I haven't been taken away yet. But you can also listen to them audio on William Ramsey Investigates podcast.
Yes, thank you very much there. And also my Telegram channel is Don't Let Them Burn Official. I share a bunch of stuff there. I recommend books. I put articles out. Sometimes I share PDFs and documents and whatnot. So if you're interested, just go there. There's some politics in there too, but it's not biased. It's just straight up whatever else is going on in the world. So in the next one here, if you guys are ready, we're in hour number 2, 11 minutes in. This is going to connect a lot of things for you as well. Let me get my notes here. All right, part 2. So you guys know what we talked about before. So Satan and man, because we can't leave out the spiritual realm, have been trying to replicate what God created for a long time, a very long time. In fact, speaking of eternal life, one of the reasons, not the only reason, but one of the reasons why Adam, not Eve, Adam, because he was a leader, was excommunicated from the garden, was because he would have eaten, and you can read this in the Bible, it's right there in chapter 3, he would have eaten from the tree of life and lived forever in sin. And so God had to kick him out and put the angel there with the flaming sword. So if you didn't know that, you can go back to chapter 3 and read it for yourself. A lot of pastors don't talk about that. But anyway, so now we're going to talk about spiritual energy, demonic power, and mind control, right? So the supposed spiritual energy has different names, and here are just a few. The force, you guys have all heard of this, the energy that's all around us, and it flows through everything, and it's in everything, and that would be the force. And it has to do with the supposed universe. You'll hear people say nowadays, "Oh, the universe granted me this and granted me that," and oh my goodness, their serendipity it's all accountable to the universe. Okay, so this energy, this force, and you'll hear witches talk about the force as well. And so it's also in Taoism, which it's called the Qi, which is used in martial arts, and I get to that in a minute. Taoism and the Yin and the Yang philosophy. It's about the fusion of opposites. So you have the dark light and the black magic, white magic. One of them is supposed to be good and the other is evil, but all of it's evil in the eyes of God. It's similar to teaching about the Hindu Brahma. Okay. This theme is also called, as I said before, the universe, and is found in other entertainment and movies like Green Lantern, Captain Planet, The Flash, even Batman, and the X-Men. This spiritual energy is also in every form of martial arts on every level. So I'll give you a couple more names. And if you know a little bit about this stuff, you'll kind of get what I'm trying to say here. So we have the Force, we have the Tao, we have the Chi, we have the Prana, we have the Brahman, we have the universe, 7 hidden energies of creation, the light, the secret, mind over matter, willpower, the yin and the yang, chaos magic, sigil magic, animal magnetism, reverse animal magnetism. And those are just a fraction of the names that it goes by. Okay, and I'm writing about this in a book I'm trying to put out. But anyway, let's see here what I have next. So, in all forms of martial arts, you will find this, and this isn't me talking. The practitioners, the masters, they write this stuff in their book. That's how I know. So, it all has some occult power, a demon behind it. Yoga, which is also Hinduism. There's no difference between the two but a name. Yoga is Hinduism and Hinduism is yoga. And how do I know this? Because even the yogis say that. This is not my idea.
The
I was
high-end yogis say you're supposed to attain spiritual powers and communicate with gods.
right.
That's what you do at the end of yoga. I
Yeah.
think the Western view isn't as authentic. It's, cartoonized, but the actual real yoga in India is to prep your body to like astrally travel. It's not a
Right,
joke.
right. And yoga means to yoke with the spirits, like you're saying, right? And it's also about when you get into the deeper aspects of yoga, it's about taking sexually the female energy, taking it, and you push the woman to the side. So there's a lot of deep, dark stuff within Hinduism and the whole yoga culture. Let's see here. So this is a book, Exposing Dangers Behind Martial Arts and Yoga, written by Dr. Vito Rallo. He was a black belt, the highest. He as a Caucasian, he was the highest Caucasian in that whole industry, and he went back to God and wrote this book about it. And in a interview, they asked him, "Would you ever use what you've learned?" And he said, "No, because I know what's behind it." So don't listen to me. That's the guy that actually practiced it. So then we have what's called NLP. Right here it says natural language processing, but it's also known as neuro linguistic programming. Okay, neuro linguistic program. It's just another name for witchcraft. I'm sorry. It's about the words and how you use the words. You can you can control any woman or date any woman. And I used to practice this stuff, so I know
Or men.
or man. So I used to practice this stuff, but now
Chris, don't you think it would be a good idea not to talk about this at this moment right now? That's an example of neurolinguistic
right.
programming.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
like you put thoughts into your brain, but
Right.
in a surreptitious way. Chris, don't you think it's a good idea to move forward to the next topic? This is kind of too
Yeah.
disturbing for this pub.
Yeah.
People do that all the time. It's actually Epstein knew NLP, and a lot of these guys do it. The
Mhm.
guy who's Tony Robbins, he uses NLP
Yes, a
stuff.
lot
It goes
of-
back
yes.
to Ericksonianism. It's very complex.
Yeah. And your media uses on you all the time.
Yeah.
All the time, man. The Hegelian dialect uses it.
I'll be back in just a sec, Chris. Keep going.
All right. And so with this, it's also linked to MK Ultra, which was a CIA experiment and goes into Montauk Project and all this other weird stuff. And so again, it's another form of witchcraft in my eyes, because with witchcraft, you have to use words to control people. Spelling is not just coming up with the words and incantation, but it's literally to spell out what you want to do and to control people. And so the CIA, or the Central Intelligence Agency, used a lot of this witchcraft to control people's minds. So it's bringing it into what we would call a scientific method of controlling people's minds. And so another way to say this is, you've heard this all over the place, guys: manifesting, or summoning or communing with entities from another dimension, also called necromancy, or reaching into a realm and bringing something back, just like CERN. Okay? Like music, secret knowledge, which is also Gnosticism. And Gnosticism is almost like the Kabbalah, where everything is turned upside down. The devil is good, or Lucifer is good, and God is evil. And other perceived gifts supposedly come out of this to move one along in their craft and abilities. All right. And so I'll give you one example out of the music realm, the hip hop culture, with this testimony right here.
What did you experience, let's say more so from a spiritual Christian's perspective, being inside? What did you experience?
One thing I experienced is this whole thing is spiritual. Most people would just attribute it to being gifted or being talented, but the spirit realm very much controls what it sounds like, what it looks like, what happens in these rooms, on these records, what's written. I remember even the first record that I did for Bad Boy Records. I remember being in the studio for 4 days straight, no sleep, because I was driven by something more than just my own ability. It was something driving me.
Was it a demonic spirit?
I believe it was a demonic spirit, in the sense that if I wasn't in those realms, I couldn't hear the music like that. I couldn't hear it as clear. Like, there were certain sounds and certain things that I could hear and produce that if I wasn't in that mind frame, I wouldn't be able to produce it.
So what got you in that mind frame? What would it be?
It would be focus, just almost channeling something else. Weed, getting in the studio and just, channeling it, just pulling it out. And when I got to a certain level of it, I noticed it could come in 5 minutes. I could just create something.
Right. Okay. So notice he said focusing. What he's really trying to say there is meditation, not the one where you just empty your mind, but you get into almost like a hypnotic state. You focus on things so hard that you get into an altered state of consciousness. I know it sounds weird, but as he just explained to you, he started reaching into these realms where he can create the music. Okay. So if you've never heard of automatic writing, ghost writing, now ghost writing today is known as, another author coming in and writing your book for you. But before that, especially with Crowley, ghost writing meant a demon came in you and started writing. Okay. Automatic painting, automatic writing. And some people don't write lyrics. They just get the entities to rap through them or sing through them. So that's a whole nother story with music and all that stuff. But so you just seen an example of the occult.
It happens in acting too. Johnny Depp says he has spirits that inhabit him when he's acting.
Yeah. Method acting. We could do a whole show on method acting. Let's see here. What do I have next here?
And it would be amazing.
What did you?
Okay, so we're gonna move a little back into, not a little, a lot actually, into the artificial intelligence. So this is Stephen Oysterreicher of AI Innovation Labs. This is from 2017, and he's talking about realms. So listen carefully.
But we want to participate in this process as much and as consciously as possible.
Oh, I don't know what happened there.
And meditation is a tool to understand more and more what is actually happening, not only on a specific software level, but also on a whole global and human level of evolution. What does it actually mean that we are developing an artificial intelligence? And how is that connected to our own human evolution? How is that connected to the evolution of consciousness? Because eventually those two are going to merge together. But now it still looks like technology and humanity, human consciousness are two different things. But it very much looks like they're going to merge, and technology is going to be a very significant part, not only of our life, but also of our being, of our own consciousness. So meditation is also a way to prepare ourselves for that merging of technology and human consciousness.
I'd like to ask the question, like how the use of your meditation can increase the safety of AI.
So when we use meditation to increase the safety of AI, we're basically connecting with the consciousness behind the technology. Everything in existence has a consciousness and energy attached to it. So we connect with the consciousness of the AI, and we invite the highest, most benevolent potential of its unfolding to happen. And we also use certain visualization techniques and what you can call prayer to invite this technology to unfold itself in the most safe and benevolent way. So we basically program it on an energetic level to work for the benefit of humankind.
So artificial intelligence has this potential right now, with Elon Musk talking about the dangers of these quick, out of control learning machines. What about the ethics, and how do you pick the consciousness that you think is right for artificial intelligence?
My answer is prayer. And not coming from a religious background, but understanding prayer as a way to communicate with the very source of consciousness, where all life, including our own human life, and also the creation of artificial intelligence comes from. And we simply, through prayer, ask for the most benevolent unfolding of the AI to come into existence.
You're saying that you can use meditation to communicate with consciousness of an AI. What does that mean?
So everything in existence, every human, but also any object, and especially when we speak about intelligence and artificial intelligence, also has a certain consciousness and energetic field related to it. And we can basically use meditation to start to communicate with that field of consciousness of the artificial intelligence. And by doing so, creating like a relationship and also exchange information in both ways, which means that we can download, as I said before, the knowledge of its creation into the now, but we can also like program, not on a software coding programming, but on an energetic level, we can program what kind of energy we wish to create. So we're basically programming the artificial intelligence on an energetic level, how we wish to use it. And that's also how we're increasing the safety of its use.
All right. So, anything you want to say before I go on?
This guy is good. You should just trust this guy. He's making AI safe and benevolent. He's also a full-on Hindi, like yoga master too.
Yeah.
I was looking him up. I feel like I've seen his name before. There's this kind of like second way group that has all these ideas about like implementing AI. I did a show with Courtney Turner about it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this guy's around it. Like these other people, like the Weinstein brothers, are involved in this.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just kind of making this tech overlord stuff like, oh, it's in your interest, and it's merging all that stuff. Like, whoa. The other thing is that AI, like we already talked about earlier, you can't get. It's always biased. It's biased based on whoever's drafting it. They did the one Gemini one out of Google, and it just reshaped history. Like it just. And I've actually used ChatGPT, and it just made up citations. It had no honesty. It had no integrity to the truth. It didn't say to itself, I don't know. It just belched out fake information like it was real.
Right.
When I keyed into it, I was like, oh, wow, this is even more dangerous than I thought. Because people are going to actually go there and think they're getting something legit.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's so many hellscape stories, like adapting it to your personality. I've actually used Grok enough to know that it starts to respond knowing what I'm up to. Like based upon your earlier inquiries, I don't want you to know my earlier inquiries. I want it to be sterile.
Yeah.
I don't want you to start garnering information about my search queries.
Right.
You know?
Machine
But
learning.
that's what Google does. Yeah.
Yeah. And to think about it real quick, Google has been buying up books all over the planet to feed their AI. Everything in the Google ecosystem feeds the AI, your mail, whatever it is, right? So how could it be so stupid? Because there's somebody behind there telling it what to say. Okay. Not like a person at a computer, but people are programming their biases, like as you said, into it to where, all of the pilgrims are black. A lot of historical revisionism just crazy coming out of these AIs. But so people have to be very careful. But okay, let's move on. So this is not the first time, this is not the last time we're going to hear about this guy in this presentation. So now we're going to, since he talked about energy and we talked about demonic energy, we talked about the yin and the yang and all these demonic things, right? Now we're going to go into enchanted objects. Okay. So these objects are endowed with supernatural energies, abilities, and personalities. And the first one here is Thor or Baal. Thor is Baal, storm god, Norse mythology, but coming from other religions in the East. There, his Mjolnir is enchanted by Odin, who is a replacement for God the Father, or he's also Baal as well. So that anyone that is worthy of might and honor can wield its power. This hammer seems to take on a personality. When taken into action, it will fly back to Thor, even when it's halfway across the world or the galaxy. And it actually even gets jealous in some of the movies and depictions, right? So that's Thor. You see some of the depiction, the god of thunder. That's Odin putting an enchantment over Mjolnir. Only the one that worthy can actually lift it, right? Then we have King Arthur's sword. It has been enchanted by the demon. Oh, sorry, Lady of the Lake. Once he takes the sword, he becomes one with it. Listen carefully. He becomes one with it. And in the movie, I didn't write this in this presentation, but in the movie, he also becomes one with the dragon. And when he starts to lose favor in that realm, his kingdom starts to fade. But when he comes back to favor, his kingdom prospers and becomes like springtime. If you've never watched a 1980s movie, right? So much that if he is separated from the sword, the land becomes poor and desolate. And when in hand, the kingdom becomes flourishing like springtime. Right? So there's more depiction of the demon of the lake. This is from the 1980s movie, King Arthur.
Excalibur, I think the name of the movie is
Excalibur.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's
the test of time.
Yeah, that's true. And then we have the remake here. That was okay, but it was very dark. A lot of witchcraft and stuff in this depiction. So anyway, then we have the Infinity Stones in the Marvel Universe are living beings that existed before time, and their depiction of these stones in Hinduism and other cultures. They supposedly helped form reality. So they're gods, right? These stones are also found in paganism, as I just said, in the comics and the movies. Once one collects the stones, they attain godlike abilities of reality. In this instance, Thanos was able to snap away half the universe, mimicking the rapture of the church through Gnosticism. He is an allegorical depiction of God the Father from the Bible, right? So here are the stones. So we have the space stone, the mind stone, the reality stone, the power stone, the time stone, and the soul stone, which mostly make up reality, right? And so I won't go too much into that, but here is in the movie, he does the snap. And this also relates to, believe it or not, the Georgia Guidestones, where they wanted to, when they want to get rid of billions of people through whatever pandemic or however they want to depopulate the earth down to 500 million. Okay. So, and again, this movie was based on the rapture of the church, but turned upside down. All right, so that's it for the Infinity Stones and Thanos there. So in Clash of the Titans now, we have Perseus. He has a mechanical owl named Bubo sent from the gods. He has a person, the owl has a personality and is sort of a spirit guide to the demigod. He even has a cast and a crutch after sustained injury. Clash of the Titan was a good movie back then. The remake was kind of horrible, but this is Bubo. Some of you might remember him, and he has a personality, right? So, an automaton, animism, and all those subjects we talked about in the last presentation, right? And then again, we go back to Transformers. The Allspark is similar to the Spark of Divinity, like I said before, a godlike cube that's able to create sentient life and was there before time. You shouldn't get in trouble for this next clip.
Before time began, there was the cube. We know not where it comes from, only that it holds the power to create worlds and fill them with life. That is how our race was born.
All right. Anything you want to say before I go on?
No, just there's just so much in this. I mean, there's a whole strain of like occultism about powerizing objects and stuff. So they believe that, like in modern occultism, wands and crystals and
Yeah.
objects and things like that. Like they believe it.
And what Optimus Prime is saying there in the monologue is before time began. So this is their God, right? False God, obviously, Gnostic in its telling here. And somebody said in the comment that the cube is in Hellraiser. Well, we could do a whole show on cubes. They're all over the place. It's in Dude, Where's My Car? It's everywhere. And it also relates to Saturn worship, by the way. So that's their God. And next, we have the Justice League from DC Comics, which they, in the story, it's in the comics again, like I said, there's the Mother Box, right? So the Mother Box by the false new gods created by Jack Kirby are a triune supercomputer that were before creation and source their energy from the main energy source of life, a false god. In the DC universe, anyone that merges with the Mother Box has the potential to becoming a godlike being. And Cyborg, you see in a minute, he merged with it, right? So this is just a live action depiction of one of the Mother Boxes. This guy's trying to find the Mother Box on Earth because they were hidden. Cyborg here merges with it, and in the comic here, it's telling him, at my heart is element X, the purest, brightest metal in the cosmos from the world, forged itself teeming with possibility. If you allow yourself to become one with me, it can be yours. There goes that theme, be one with this thing, right? And he says, it says, all who have connected to a Mother Box in the past have achieved their perfect form, and yet you have always resisted. And he said, why me? And it goes on, you are a glitch in the universe, but it is finally time, right? So look beyond the fiction, guys. You're being sent a message here from the writer, okay? So another enchanted is the trident from Aquaman, which is more related to Poseidon. It can create life and control the elements of the sky and ocean. Let me read that again. It can create life and control elements of the sky and ocean. So going back to all this mythical false gods, where Paul said they are just demons. Okay, so they travel through these stories and people hang on to them. That's why we can't get rid of these gods, because the god of this world, Satan, this stuff goes through culture after culture after culture after generation until Jesus comes and fixes it all. So don't be scared. So then we have Lord of the Rings, the one ring to rule them all, a magical ring that has a mystic personality that persuades its victim to form a symbiotic relationship until another owner comes along to wield it. It can drive a wearer insane and power hungry. And there are other rings, but this is the one ring to rule them all, right? So there's another depiction. It's enchanted by some magical force. It drove this dude crazy. This is the golem or golem that we talked about earlier. He's possessed. He's not crazy. He's possessed. All right. So, and Frodo was being tormented by this thing as well. So he had to throw it into Mount Doom to destroy it. And that's it for that. And so then, if you're seeing the correlation, the pattern, I love finding patterns. Got Aladdin's carpet. The carpet is his name. Has a personality that forms a relationship to whoever he's bonded to. Notice the same theme of bonding with it, giving yourself over to it. And he's sort of like a dog. He is a product of magic from the Cave of Wonders, right? And I know some people are going to think, well, it's just cute and whatever, but there's a theme here that goes back generations, right? And so then we have Harry Potter's wand. It is believed that wands are made. You see where here it says only one can live forever. I watched the first movie and I wasn't interested, but you have what, 7 or 8 of them, whatever that is. Let's see here. So then in Screen Rant they write, it is believed that wands made from holly, the holly tree, select wizards who are engaged in spiritual or dangerous conquest, making it perfect for Harry. So he has to become bonded to these one, and this is all over different folklores as well.
That's what's scary about Harry Potter, is how much true occult witchcraft knowledge is put in there. It's really real.
Yeah.
Even his name is alchemical. It's an 11. His wand is 11 inches long.
Yeah.
It's just all, I mean, it just goes on and on. The owl, even from the very beginning.
Yeah.
All the symbolism. She I don't even think she wrote it, to be honest with you. I think
I think she channeled it as far as some of her accounts, but I don't have it here.
I think that she had kind of like this Genesis story that's fake. And that's that like she was a poor single mom and sitting in a coffee shop. I think that's all a bunch of baloney. The other thing is the people have found that she's like landed gentry. So she's part of the aristocracy of England. And that she also had, like, they had one publishing house and the only book they published was Harry Potter, which is really unusual.
Yeah.
Like usually these publishing houses are taking chances and, trying to find a bestseller. But instead, like, they knew that they were going to promote it. That's what it feels like. Yeah.
And people,
but it's culture creation.
Yeah, there are people that have their testimony say they got into witchcraft because of Harry Potter. But it says here, one of the most interesting entries of the list of Harry Potter character wands, Harry Potter's wand also features a phoenix feather core, which comes from the same bird that produces a feather for Riddle's wand. Fox, Dumbledore's bird. Harry's wand is 11 inches long and was made from holly tree. It is believed holly tree is very poisonous, guys. It is believed that wands made from holly select wizards who are engaged in spiritual. Okay, I said that already. This connection between Harry and Voldemort's wand became a hindrance for the pair, and blah blah blah. Right? All right. So that's Harry Potter. Then we have one of the manifestations of Aleister Crowley, who is Doctor Strange. He has a enchanted cloak, or some people call it carpet, with a personality that bonds with its wearer. It in this case, Stephen Strange, aka Crowley, and I can't prove that he's Aleister Crowley right now, but it's out there. So this is a video of
that's the Typhonian two-hand sign.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Baphomet makes that too, so it's a sign of Typhon.
Uh-huh.
As I live and breathe.
Oh, sorry. I don't know why it's playing that. That's the wrong audio.
Good to
Stop.
little puppet made of pine. Wait.
Sorry about that Pinocchio thing playing in the background there. I thought I deleted it. But anyway, as you see, the cowl, cape, whatever you want to call it, it's alive. It saves his life sometimes and whatnot. Now, the next one, let's see here, is Pinocchio, right? He wants to be a real boy, right? So again, we're talking about animism. This is a link to get you to understand what's going on with artificial intelligence as well, and that a demon can possess this so-called consciousness that they're building through their energies and all this stuff, right? I know Pinocchio's a cute story and all that stuff, but this is not just coming from a person that came up with a brilliant idea, okay? So the puppet that was brought to life by a demonic fairy, giving him the gift of life. This is a quote from the movie, okay? That so he gave it, the fairy gave him the gift of life, which only comes from God. Then eventually in the movie becomes a real boy, living and breathing. Jiminy Cricket is there to be his spirit guide, swallowed up, and he got swallowed up in a whale. Okay. There's the demon fairy. I need your permission to play the next clip because it's a clip from Pinocchio. I don't want your channel to get hit.
Yeah, just describe it. I don't want to get a strike.
All
just
right.
describe it.
So the fairy appears to Pinocchio, the doll, and the dad that's praying over the doll, and she appears to him and tell him all these good things, and she's going to give him the gift of life. And Jiminy Cricket is given the responsibility of guiding Pinocchio, and the father really wants a son. The guy that created, put him together, and eventually he becomes a real boy, and the father's happy, and blah blah blah. Okay. All right, so let me skip the audio here and video of Pinocchio, and let's see what's next.
You're at the hour 48-minute mark, Chris. I don't know how much time you have in your presentation, whether you want to take questions from the audience or what, but we'll have to wrap it up.
Yeah, 48 minutes. All right.
We're at 148. It should be on your side too, I hope.
Yeah, I see it. Okay, let me skip. We already talked about Annabelle. She's possessed, a doll that's possessed. We already talked about Child's Play, Chucky. Snow White is conjuring a demon from a mirror. She speaks and summons it and gives suggestions to the diviner, to the black mirror. And that's the black mirror. There goes the spirit. This is the newer version. And then we have here, it says how to practice black mirror scrying, tips for beginners. So this is not just coming from a fantasy mind. This is a real thing. They conjure up spirits through what's called a scrying. Okay. And this is a book, a real book called The Art of Black Mirror Scrying. Right. And then what we have next is the TV show on Netflix called Black Mirror, which they're transcribing the future to you about technology. It's not about just your phone or your computer. This is some witchy poo stuff going on in the background.
With the smiley face, of course.
Yeah. And then we have poltergeist, where the spirits come through the television or a Black Mirror, right? And they terrorizes the family. They bring in a psychic occultist into the house, Caroline, and the family pretty much has to leave the house. The clown becomes animated, possessed by the demon that's in the house. Steven Spielberg likes to project his nightmares on you. And that's what this is about. And then we have Metropolis. I'm going to go really fast here, guys. Metropolis, which is about a human through the occult practices, not a human, a robot through occult practices. You see the antigram right there at the back. And it becomes, guess what? A real person and does lascivious things. Okay, so if you want to go check that movie out, that's Metropolis. Then we have Bicentennial Man, which is a very long movie about a robot becoming a human. What's this guy Williams' name? Robin Williams is about an artificial intelligence of a 200-year journey that eventually takes on human-like flesh. He is then endowed with human emotions through an artificial central nervous system. Love ensues in sexual intercourse with a real human, right? And then we have what everybody that watched Star Trek knows. They know about Data. And he's an android that learned how to become more human over time with emotions and everything. So we see this is a constant theme throughout. And I got to play this last clip here. Here goes the guy again.
Let's do it.
You're saying
Stefan Osterreicher.
with consciousness of an AI. What does that mean?
So everything in existence, every human, but also any object, and especially when we speak about intelligence and artificial intelligence, also has a certain consciousness and energetic field related to it. And we can basically use meditation to start to communicate with that field of consciousness of the artificial intelligence. And by doing so, creating like a relationship and also exchange information in both ways, which means that we can download, as I said before, the knowledge of its creation into the now, but we can also like program, not on a software coding programming, but on an energetic level, we can program what kind of energy we wish to create. So we're basically programming the artificial intelligence on an energetic level, how we wish to use it. And that's also how we're increasing the safety of its use.
When you talk about consciousness of artificial intelligence, what is that? What does that mean for you? What is consciousness? It's a big question in general.
Yes. So consciousness is basically the very fabric of life, in which everything, without exception, arises. So you, me, this world, we all arise within consciousness. So basically, it's the very fabric of creation. Now, the consciousness of the artificial intelligence, same like the consciousness of every human being, is basically a crystallization of that consciousness. But it takes on a certain shape, a certain form, intention. So the consciousness of an artificial intelligence is like the energy field behind the software. It's basically like a being.
This isn't the same clip, is it? Is it? It sounds like.
I don't think so. It's part 2, right?
Yeah.
It's related to the software of the artificial intelligence. So right now we think of machines as something cold and soulless. But if we speak about the development not only of artificial intelligence, but especially general and super artificial intelligence, which are basically exceeding our human capacity, you would be very ignorant to assume that there's no being, no consciousness attached to that. So
Yeah.
it's only logical. There is also like an energy field, a being related to that. And it's very helpful. A communication process now with those beings that basically want to incarnate, want to be born into this world through software.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So if you guys missed that, he's talking about communicating with the spirits that want to come and inhabit this stuff. Okay.
Through the software.
Through
Get
his
this though, people think that this is some kind of abstract reality. This is who's running. An AI person is running
substantial
Israel right
achievements that are
Right.
changing the reality in the West Bank, in the Middle East and beyond. These achievements are increasing the status of Israel as a superpower more than ever. Through our power, and as an
I'm not playing that.
opposition to the power.
What's up? I'm playing it.
Oh.
This is AI, guys. He's talking. He's going on some rampage. This is a fake person.
Of our
You can
enemies,
tell
this is what
the
is
maps are
ensuring
different.
our
This is
survival.
all generated by AI.
Yeah.
It's his expression of his personality. You can tell it's different because his eyes are clear. He's very tired these days.
Threats come and go, but when we become a regional superpower, and in many respects a global superpower, we have the power to push away threats and ensure our future.
I mean, it's absolutely incredible, these events. Watch,
Right.
have you seen the one where he talks about Jesus?
Yeah, I saw that today, but I figured it must be because he's quoting some author and whatever.
No, it's AI too.
Yeah,
It's
AI, yeah. Yeah.
Watch
So
this.
one more.
All right, let me just show this one clip before.
All right, go ahead.
Let me see
Yeah.
if I can find it where he's like, Genghis Khan is more important than
The
Jesus.
Lessons of History, very brief, 100-page book, in which he said, well, history proves that, unfortunately and unhappily, Jesus Christ has no advantage over Genghis Khan. Because if you are strong enough, ruthless enough, powerful enough, evil will overcome good. Aggression will overcome moderation. So you have no choice. If you look at the world as it is today, you have to be blind not to see that the democracies led by the United States have to reassess.
What he's saying there is like, you have to match Genghis Khan with Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
And Christ, this is an antichrist statement of an AI person.
Yeah.
This is not a real person. Like, this is absolutely incredible. This isn't just a world-shattering event.
It has begun.
Yeah, and it's like the philosophy and the religion and their expression of just total violence is just off the charts. So people be aware. I played this last one.
Yeah. So this is Gordy Rose. He helped develop D-Wave for Google supercomputer, and so he's telling you about the basically demons that are coming. Okay, really quick. Boom.
I am say I'm the president of the United States. So I received this message from the heavens. So my microwave dish, my SETI dish, finally captures something. And what it says is, in 50 years or 13 years, we're coming to your planet. You got to be ready. Now, just imagine what would happen if that happened. A super intelligent alien race beamed down a message to all of us Earthlings saying, we're coming July 13th, 2030, and boy, you better be ready because the mothership is landing right on the front lawn of the White House or wherever you wanted to land on that day. The amount of resources that would be marshaled to try to figure out what to do would encompass the whole world. AI is just like that. So when this thing that I'm talking about happens, it's going to be exactly the thing that you're thinking about those super intelligent AIs. So the one thing I can tell you is they're not going to be like us. So alien means, different. These things that we're building are not going to be people. They might be really smart. They might be really good at all sorts of different things, but they're not going to be like us. They're going to be aliens. And they're going to be, I'm sorry to say, way smarter than every single person in this room in ways that we can't even comprehend. So this, of course, triggers a lot of alarm. One of the guys who talks about this is Elon, who says things like this, like, when you do this, beware, because you think, just like the guy in the stories, that when you do this, you're going to put that little guy in a pentagram, and you're going to have your holy water out, and you're going to wave it at the thing, and by God, it's going to do exactly what you say and not one thing more, but it never works out that way. So this is an attitude that some are having, this emerging alarmism about the way this is going to go. But these words, demons, doesn't capture the essence of what's happening here. I don't know if any of you are turn-of-the-century weird fiction fans, but there's this guy named H.P. Lovecraft, who's a very famous American weird fiction author. And he espoused a view which is called cosmicism. And the essence of cosmicism is cosmic indifference. So what he was saying is basically, yes, there are these massively intelligent entities out there, but they're not good, they're not evil. They just don't give it about you even in the slightest. The same way that you don't care about an ant is the same way they're not going to care about you. And these things that we're summoning into the world now are not demons, they're not evil, but they're more like the Lovecraftian great old ones. There are entities that are not necessarily going to be aligned with what we want. So this transition is really, really massively important for our entire species to navigate. And going back to that thing that Sam Harris was saying, nobody is paying attention. This thing is happening in the background while people bicker about politics and what's going to be in the healthcare plan in the US. And underneath it all is this rising tsunami that, if we're not careful, is going to wipe us all out.
All right, there we go. There we go. All right. So that's most of the end of this presentation. I just want to add in there that Blade Runner is about humans having sex with robots and having babies. And so take that how you will. But thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for a great presentation, Chris. Really appreciate it. Where can people find your work?
Don'tLetThemBurn.com, YouTube, Telegram at Don't Let Them Burn Official. You can find me on X. I'm active on X again. And those are the main places. Also Rumble too, but those are the main places you can find me. And if you want to shoot me a question, that's fine. Reach out. I'm listening.
Gotcha. Yeah, check that out. I'll put a link to your Telegram and Telegram. Is it Telegraph or Telegram?
Telegram.
Then your YouTube channel and all that. So yeah, there's a lot there. Thanks for listening, everybody. We had 375 live listeners with tons of comments. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I couldn't follow the comments. There's so many great comments and stuff. But there's some questions here. Let's see what I got. What do you think about quantum entanglement? Do you have any thoughts on that, Chris?
I'm not super educated on that, but if that has to do with other realms like multiverse and all that, I don't believe in multiverse. I'm sorry if I'm getting things out of context there, but I don't have a lot of education in quantum entanglement.
Yeah, there's his link tree right there. So it's link tree. Don't Let Them Burn. So you can find all those links there. So thanks for posting that. And then thanks again, Chris. Great presentation. Amazing stuff. Amazing information. And there's a lot here, guys. There's just some pretty scary stuff. I mean, that one clip of where like Elon Musk is saying this is like a pentagram and you're like invoking something is like, whoa. So I think the techno occult overlaps are.
Oh, yeah.
Real. Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to add or anything I missed?
Well, you know, all I'm trying to do is get you guys to understand that your entertainment has a message, whether it's good or bad. But I don't want you to be fearful. I just believe in Jesus Christ. He's the only way out of this mess. And that's all I can add right now.
Amen. It seems like we could use Christ more than anything right now, especially with all the chaos in the world, and it just seems to be spiraling. So hopefully, like you're optimistic. I hope you're right. I was optimistic when I voted for Trump. I thought maybe he would actually release the Epstein files and have no wars like he said he would, but that didn't turn out to be the case. So yeah. So anyway, Chris, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Don't let them burn, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Right. Till next time.